also, and refugees in the camps in Thailand, 1993. What you are now seeing is Nam Sing 4th Repatriation Camp, located at Nakhon Phanom Province, Thailand. On April 7, 1992, two heads of Hmong refugees in the Nam Sing 4th Repatriation Camp refused to register for voluntary repatriation to Laos. For this reason, officials of the UNHCR and the Thai government arrested, tortured, and imprisoned the two refugees from April 7 to April 8. This picture was taken when they were in jail. The refugees refused repatriation to Laos because they wished resettlement in the United States of America, where their families are residing in Portland, Oregon, and Sacramento, California. These individuals also fear being repatriated because being heads of the Hmong refugees at Nam Sing camp, they feel their lives would be in great jeopardy if they were forced back to Laos. Concisely, they feared persecution, murders, and tortures upon return to Laos. On April 9, 1992, these individuals' rights were totally ignored by the Thai government and the UNHCR. The officials of the UNHCR and the Thai government tied up the feet and hands of the two non-volunteer refugees and dropped them into buses for shipment back to Laos as if these individuals were animals. Up to date, there is no news as to whether these two persons are dead or alive. Seen here is Nam Phon camp in Thailand. On July 16, 1992, officials of the UNHCR and the Thai government forced the non-volunteer Hmong refugees and Nam Phon camp into this big truck for forced repatriation to Laos. As incentives for the Hmong refugees to return to Laos, Thai soldiers with well-polished arms were brought to the site. Constant dragging of unwilling Hmong refugees to Laos has provided enough angers for 2,500 refugees to demonstrate in Nam Phon camp on July 16, 1992. With bleak hopes, the refugees call for human rights, peace, freedom of residence and freedom of movement, resettlement in the United States, and family reunification. These photographs show refugees rushing to the headquarters of the UNHCR and camp commander to appeal for mercy, human rights, and freedom. Seen here are refugees denouncing and condemning the forced repatriation and human rights violations. The refugees pleaded that the UNHCR and the Thai government not force them to return to Laos because there is no peace, no human rights, and no safety for them to return to Laos. This is evident by the many of thousands of enemy soldiers who are still stationed inside the country of Laos. The refugees are reminded that the Vietnamese troops and the Communist Pathet Lao government are the true oppressors and persecutors who drove the Laotian people to flee Laos in search of human rights and peace since 1975. Let us not forget that the Hmong refugees are legacies of the Vietnam War. Therefore, the Hmong refugees are political refugees. While the refugees continue to beg for mercy, the camp commander of the Nam Phon camp is relentless in putting down the peaceful demonstrators. With no one else to turn to, the Hmong women and children call to God for help and supports. In their cries, they are also calling great nations such as the United States and the United Nations for human rights and protections. Armed with guns and riot gears, about 1,300 Thai troops put down the peaceful demonstrators. 300 Thai troops entered into the camp as 1,000 more soldiers surrounded and secured the outside of the camp. The refugees continue to call for human rights, freedom of residence and movement, and resettlement in third countries. As the refugees continue to rally, more Thai troops enter into the camp, demanding that the refugees stop demonstrating. The refugees rally on, burning papers to call on God and anyone with powers or heart for help and supports. However, there is no help or support from the United States of America or the United Nations. The young people continue to demonstrate for mercy. This young child, with her sister on her back, is stranded in a world of oppression and indifference. She has no way to turn and is crying for help and human rights. The camp commander continued to demand the refugees to end their demonstrations. He threatened that should anyone refuse to surrender, such individuals shall be arrested and punished. The refugees' cry for freedom goes on. In an effort to put down the peaceful demonstration, the commander made more serious threats, and finally, in the afternoon, the refugees laid down their signs and went to their centers. Refugee representatives were then sent to talk with officials of the UNHCR and the Thai government on their purposes of demonstrations. Here shows two news reporters from a Thai television station attempting to cover the demonstration at Nathong camp. The following scenes are from Ban Vinai refugee camp, Thailand. These scenes illustrate Hmong refugees demonstrating in Ban Vinai camp at Loi province, Thailand, on September 21st and 22nd, 1992. As is the case in other refugee camps, these refugees are calling for human rights, peace, freedom of residence and resettlement in third countries. These refugees strongly protested the closing down of Ban Vinai camp. They also opposed forced repatriation and unfair screening out policies implemented by UNHCR and the Thai government. Refugees of all ages continued to demonstrate, causing the Thai government to send about 100 Thai troops to put down the demonstrators. These young children, aged under 6 and 7 years of age, joined in the struggle for human rights and freedom. Guns such as the M16s were often used by the Thai soldiers to put down human rights activists. These photos are victims of the Thai soldiers' brutal treatment of peaceful demonstrators. It is not unusual or grossly shocking that the Thai soldiers use M16s to hit and torture refugees who demonstrate. 3 of the many victims are shown here. They are very seriously wounded and are clinging to their lives. While the rally in Ban Vinai goes on, victims, mostly near death, are flooding the hospital beds of Ban Vinai camp. What you are now seeing is a photo showing the Thai authorities arresting and forcing these 2 children, along with their mother, to leave Ban Vinai camp to return to Laos. You may recognize these individuals as Mr. Toshiro, representative of the United Nations High Committee for Refugees, or the UNHCR, and Mr. Jeff, official of the Joint Voluntary Agency, the JVA, a sub-branch under the U.S. Department of State. These 2 persons are watching and perhaps applauding the forced repatriation of Hmong refugees from Ban Vinai camp to Laos. Mr. Toshiro also witnessed the crackdown of peaceful demonstrations by the Thai soldiers on September 21st, 1992. These individuals seem to be indifferent as these human rights violations were taking place right before their very eyes. On March 12, 1993, the officials of the Thai government and the UNHCR forced 371 legal Hmong refugees from the Panamikon Center near Bangkok to return to Laos through the Nampo camp. The authorities forced the refugees into these buses. All of these refugees are non-volunteers. It is no longer a secret that the Communist Pathet Lao government, the Vietnamese and the Russian governments drug chemical weapons to kill innocent people, civilians in Hmong returnees and Phubian area, Ban Pha Vien and Sen Quan province, Phan Thong areas, Barikan provinces, Pasan and many other areas in Laos. Many thousands of civilians, mostly Hmong people, and returnees were killed and burned. The death and burned bodies of Hmong people and returnees are shown here. The bombings are clear human rights violations and international criminal actions against people in Laos. The bombings began on January 4 and 5, 1990. Human rights violations and chemical bombings are reasons for many thousands of people to flee Laos to Thailand. Eyewitnesses and victims of forced repatriation reported in the summer of 1991 that the Communist Pathet Lao government had killed, murdered, and tortured about 800 to 2,000 Hmong returnees in Laos between 1989 and 1991. Yet the UNHCR and the Thai government refused to reveal these facts to the Hmong refugees in Thailand. The refugees were told that the U.S. State Department and UN officials will monitor the repatriated refugees closely, and that no one returning to Laos will be harmed. Laos is now a completely safe place to return to. However, it is now well documented that former chairman of Banvinai camp, Mr. Vu Mai, has mysteriously disappeared, and Mr. Chong Mo Tao, a former vice chairman of Chang Kam camp, has died mysteriously. These two individuals were supposed to serve as good examples that Laos is a safe place to return to. Now Mr. Vu is nowhere to be found. Mr. Tao is forever gone, and the UNHCR officials are acting far short from the kinds of safety guarantees that they have promised the refugees. They have said that they would monitor the returnees closely. Now that Mr. Vu has disappeared and Mr. Tao is no longer living, the UNHCR officials are admitting that they are powerless in assuring the safety of repatriated refugees. The following is a confession made by Mr. Vernon Blatter.
cho bà chê chê lu xia bông tha qua cha rau nó chỉ nhớ đà đi bê lương chê mua cho ta dễ tỏ trong xia cho muốn chia cái bùa nhiều nơi kia của đồng thư bê lu của mùa bóng tha kia chỉ tàu trong nắng thư chỉ yên đau tua sâu mi lòng dư cho lu mi xua lùa cho mi rang cao hu sơ đời sĩ ba nhỏ tua cho mu sĩ cho họ theo ua tàu lù nên nhau muốn đau mong do kỳ sĩ lu thâu nhá cho chi chùa về mong thiên tri lu nên nhau tua qua mua về thời lư la trong đi tao lù đu tua chua tơ lù lùa con mua lò thầu trong đủ blon chi mê cờ mê nó hùng đu y nụ chia tua cho mua này xí lù y lù này chia đời tua sâu mê blon rư cho lù mê xua lùa cho mê rang cao sơ đời xì ba tua cho mu sĩ cho mò theo ua tàu lù nên nhau muốn đau mò tràn đủ tua ria lấy chua chỉ con chế tàu vì lo cho kê thay vậy tua mua nó về mong sơ đơ thì nia lên tua say đê luôn đau dừng đời tua cho ua ý cho kê cho ý trong lúa mong sợi tua muốn cười tu cả đủ yo tua bê yun cho lúa chỉ nu ý lúa này chia đời tua sau mê lòng trừ cho lúa mê xua lúa cho mê rang cao sơ đời sĩ ba nhỏ tua cho mu sĩ cho mong theo ua tàu lúa nên nhau muốn đau mong mà mùa ý nu trái cả giờ bề sơ đời thời tuổi tê cho sĩ ba lo lù cứ đi tuổi bùa ta bê hai mong sơ đời thiện nhỏ tròn cho sĩ bông cứ đi lùa mong sơ tuổi bê trả lù này có ta ya chơi luôn bề mong nhỏ đó mày đi lù này chia đời tuổi sau mê lòng dư cho lúa mía xua lúa cho mi rang đau sơ đời sĩ ba